Welcome to your Season 18 Blaseball weather update. This is the mid-season forecast. Warning: this video contains forbidden knowledge. Stop watching now if you do not wish to access hidden information. This video would not have been possible without the work of the Society for Internet Blaseball Research. There are no big changes to the weather going into the mid-season. Despite the boss's reassurance, flooding remains the most common weather. Tokyo again hosts the most flooding games across the ILB. Seattle and Boston share the highest amount of feedback. The Mechanics host the most peanuts. Breckenridge with a large salmon front, and Dallas seeing the most Coffee 2 and Coffee 3's games. Houston has the most birds, while Kansas City has the most blood rain. And Charleston, which I've been told is not in fact in Utah, sees the most reverb. Stay tuned for a team-by-team breakdown of the weather after this short look at the economy. Solar eclipses and black holes are up from the Earl season, while flooding and Sun 2 see a slight decrease. If you have these snacks, keep them, but if you don't, it's not worth investing at this point. The Lift get 5 chances to use psychoacoustics, but their sweetener remains untouched. With the most games in it of any team, flooding will be their most common weather. The Fridays clean up with 2 opportunities for flood pump use, but their most frequent weather is salmon. The garages have 1 sweet coffee game and 2 games to find more friendly fouls. The most likely weather is salmon, with feedback just 1 game behind. The Lovers will be unsweetened in the mid-season, meaning no weather increasing here, but they do see 1 chance to welcome birds to the stadium. San Francisco's most common weather will be flooding. The Tacos get 1 opportunity to employ psychoacoustics, and their weather increaser has granted them 1 Sun 2 game. Overall, they'll see 4. The Tacos will have a fish filling in the mid-season, as salmon is their most frequent weather. The Mechanics host 3 games in which they could use psychoacoustics or echo chamber. They'll also host 5 coffee games, seeing both their sweetener and weather increaser working hard. Yet their joint highest weathers are eclipse, blood rain, black holes, and feedback. The only weather this team won't play in is birds. The Magic will host 1 game for each of their modifications. Their most common weather is flooding, but they play the joint highest amount of coffee games in the ILB. The Sunbeams see 1 Sun 2 game for their panels and 3 games for psychoacoustics. Hopefully Beams fans like seafood, as salmon will be their most frequent weather, and they play more games in it than any other team. The Jazz Hands get 2 psychoacoustic games and 2 sweet coffee games, thanks to their weather increaser. Their joint highest weather are salmon and flooding, but they will play the most Sun 2 games of the ILB. The Stakes are on a caffeine run with 9 opportunities to use sweetener. Their most common weather is blood rain, and the only weather they won't play in is glitter, but they see the most Coffee 2 and Coffee 3 games of the mid-season. The Spies will be staying squeaky clean with 5 games to use flood pumps in. Their weather increaser has also been working hard, giving them 4 birds games. Yet their most frequent weathers are feedback, flooding, and salmon. The Wings see 4 chances to use flood pumps, 1 Coffee 2 game, and the weather increasers show up with a bird and 2 Sun 2 games. Their most common weather is flooding, but they play the most reverb games of the mid-season. The Breath Mints have 4 games for psychoacoustics and echo chamber, and the weather increasers have provided nearly a quarter of all the home games. Their most likely weather is salmon. The Firefighters get 1 go at using echo chamber and 1 for sweetener 2. The only weather they won't play in is glitter, and the most frequent is flooding. They will also see the joint highest amount of black holes. The Worms have 3 chances to use flood pumps, but get no games for psychoacoustics. Their weather increaser should get a pay rise though, as it's provided 4 black hole games. The worms place 7 overall, so keep an eye on jam-packed. Their most common weather is flooding, but they join the firefighters in having the highest amount of black hole games. The moist talkers have 3 flooding games at home, and only 4 overall, so not a great showing for their modifications. The weathers they see the most will be birds, feedback, blood rain, and black holes. They will also be the only team to play in glitter twice. The flowers get 6 games to use psychoacoustics and 3 for solar panels. Their most frequent weather is flooding, but they play the most feedback games of any team. The millennials will have 4 chances to see psychoacoustics in action and can sweeten 2 of their games. Their most common weather is blood rain, and they play the most games in this of the midseason. The Pies weather increaser has showed up for work, giving them 3 birds games, and they can also use sweetener 3 times. They will see 8 birds games overall, making it their most frequent weather, and also the most games of any team. The only weather they won't play in is coffee 2. The crabs see 3 games each for psychoacoustics and flood pumps, and 2 blood rain games from their increaser. There will be 3 chances for them to use their black hole modifications, but their most common weathers are sun 2 and salmon. The shoe thieves have psychoacoustic opportunities 4 times and sweetening twice. Their highest likelihood weather is flooding, but they play the joint most coffee games of any team. The only weather they miss out on in the midseason is coffee 2. The Georges get the party started with 4 chances to use both their LCD sound system and psychoacoustics, but they won't be able to use sweetener. Keeping the under the sea theme, their most common weather is salmon. The Dalles get 2 LCD games and an extra 3 for psychoacoustics. They even sneak in a coffee game. Their most frequent weather is also salmon. The Tigers host 2 blood rain games thanks to their increaser. They will only see 1 eclipse game overall, but will play 4 blood rain, in which to be sealed tight. The 2 weathers they see most are salmon and flooding, and the only weather they won't play in is glitter. Thanks for tuning into the weather. I'll be back with your late season forecast on Thursday, but until then, rejoice, play ball.